Unlocking the Secret Scroll. The mysterious Copper Scroll has proved to be a time capsule which contained a scientific archive of celestial knowledge from antiquity. The numbers on the Copper Scroll, which were paraded as biblical talents and cubits, were instead encoded charts of the heavens. Fingerprints of the prophets were on these celestial charts, where they included a timetable to forecast the future. How the tables of celestial data were encoded on the Copper Scroll was a numerical wonder engineered by superintelligence. Astonishingly, the charts were sealed with the autograph of Yahweh. The list of buried treasures on the Copper Scroll seemed too good to be true, especially when no treasures were ever found by archaeologists. The scribes protected the numbers in mathematical checksums. Checksums were outlined in the Talmud. By adding the numbers in sequence to given totals, it was magical how suspect numbers on eroded parts of the copper were identified. Important. All the numbers in the tables were in sequence. Numbers on the Copper Scroll were neutral and could represent days or years. Now there is the tabular version of the Copper Scroll, and I've just shown 1 to 29 sites. There's the columns on the Copper Scroll, the local site details, there's the cubits, there's the sites or rows, there's the treasures, and there's the treasure numbers. And those in red were the ones identified by the checksums. There was numbers missing and numbers suspect, but the checksums identified them and they're shown in red. The 7 sets of Greek letters and 2 Greek loanwords on the first 16 columns of the scroll. And then there was spurs, where there was extra treasures at some of the sites, and it required a spur to cater for the number, as shown there and there. The spurs with the extra treasures at 7 sites were prompted by the words spur, parapet, etc., etc. You can read that. The purpose of the Greek letters and spurs was to form the numbers into groups, as displayed in many of the tables in this investigation. A secret scroll with 7 seals. It seems significant how Isaiah wrote about a secret scroll and later wrote, "Cast away coverings of defiling gold and silver ornaments. Write it in a table for the time to come forever and ever." As advised by Isaiah, the coverings with the gold and silver treasures on the Copper Scroll were cast aside and the numbers entered onto tables, and the results revealed periods of time forever and ever. Now there is the checksums and the ages of Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, and the other patriarchs were used as the checksum totals. For instance, there's Methuselah, and 969 compared to his final age. There's Lamech there at 777 compared to his age of 777 years. Now notice how the numbers with the tables are between the Greek letters or or the spurs there and there, there and there. Now it was unusual, where with Lamech there was 5 totals with 777. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a 5th down the table. Now here is how the numbers were identified. The 60 there, 60 with Seth, and 60 there with Noah, and 60 again with Lamech. So you knew the correct number was 60. And here was 32, and 32 with Methuselah, 32 with Lamech, and again 32 with Lamech, and 32 with Lamech. So you knew 32 was definitely the missing number. And there's the ages of Adam's generations. There's the total with the 23 checksums. Of course, it's too small to read, but it gives you the big picture of what the checksums look like. The timetable formula of 777 days to forecast the future. An equation involving 6 numbers was detected on rows 11 to 13, and there's the equation. The evidence indicated 6209 represented days and converted to 17 years. Also evidence to present 6209 days as 8 times 777 days, and it involved intercalary days. There's the 8 times 777. The equation was the blueprint to forecast the future in lots of 777 days, and it developed into a timetable with 21 periods stretching out to 1 cycle of the zodiac. The first numbers of the timetable were, and they're shown there, and they were at the very beginning of the Copper Scroll. Now there's the image of a cross on the copper scroll, and it was formed by those 5 totals of 777. There, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, the 8 times 777 in the equation on the previous slide was in the exact place on the copper scroll where the beam would be to form a shape of a cross. And there's the 5 numbers as outlined in the previous slide. So they all formed into the shape of a cross, and why is a mystery. Tables with the planets on the copper scroll. The orbits of the planets in days are well known, but the planets also have long-term cycles in years. These are the long-term cycles for Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. A reminder, the numbers on the scroll were neutral and can represent days or years, and all in sequence in the tables. Now, I'm just showing Mercury and Venus because it would be overwhelming to show it all. There's the orbit of Mercury in days. There's its 2 long-term cycles in 46 years and the Mercury in 7 years. There's Venus, 225 days, and its 2 long-term cycles of 777 years and 8 years. Now, if we didn't have the numbers corrected by the checksums, you wouldn't have been able to form those tables. There's the bigger picture, but it's just to give an overview of the bigger picture. The text is too small to read, but you can still see Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, and Venus. The autograph of Yahweh on the copper scroll. There were 4 displays that resembled the 4 original pictorial images with Paleo-Hebrew letters Yod, He, Waw, and again He, that spell the name of Yahweh in Paleo-Hebrew, reading from right to left. The Greek letters and spurs with extra treasures shape the tables into pictorial images. Now there's the first table with 777 years and the 3 outstretched arms with the extra treasures at those sites. And there's the modular version, and look how it looks like the Paleo-Hebrew letter He. There's the second Paleo-Hebrew letter He, and it's with set at 807 years, the 3 outstretched arms with extra treasures, the modular version looking like the Paleo-Hebrew letter here, He. And then there's the Paleo-Hebrew letter Waw. There was 3 totals of 777 as expressed in years. There's the modular display, and see how it looks like the Paleo-Hebrew letter Yod, Waw. Now here's the Paleo-Hebrew letter Yod. There's the table. It added up to 1653, which as years was 777 days by 777 times. There's the spurs there, the modular version, and it looks like the Paleo-Hebrew letter Yod. And there it is on the copper scroll. And there's the 4 letters spread out, not overlapping on each other, so you can clearly read YHWH. Notice also, if the checksums hadn't corrected those missing and suspect numbers, none of those letters could have been formed. Now, there's the sources with the numbers on the copper scroll. Conclusion. The copper scroll with the celestial charts from antiquity endured the perils of time in a cave by the Dead Sea. Without the visionaries encasing the numbers in checksums, there would be no timetable, no cross, no tables of astronomy, and no letters with Yahweh. The Hebrews had a fixation with periods of 777 in days and years. How could mere mortals in antiquity have devised and encoded the rocket science displays of celestial knowledge on the copper scroll? Did the prophets visualize the celestial knowledge as the theoretical architecture of a mystical heaven? The autograph of Yahweh and the image of a cross asserted that position. A detailed presentation of the facts and figures on the copper scroll time capsule can be viewed on YouTube, and the link is on the description page of this video. I have outlined how the seals on the copper scroll were opened, but you haven't heard the half of it. The other half with the duplicate inventory is in my book, Live Forever in Time, opening the 7 seals of the secret scroll. Let's have a dialogue on my blog about the purpose of this magnificent celestial knowledge. I am gifting this book, Live Forever in Time, to all of you, and it's free to download from my website, 7biblewonders.com. Okay, thank you very, very much. And it's time to go now, and I'll just switch off the video.